I'm doing my senior thesis on Asian Americans in voting. As Asian Americans have a 40.2% voter turnout, I want to look into why Asian Americans have such a lower turnout rate compared to other racial minority groups. I want to know what influences to have less than half of Asian Americans to vote. And lastly, I want to look into what we could do to to have more Asian Americans to participate in voting. My thesis involves around the social, political, and economic influences on Asian Americans, such as language barrier and political and institutional discrimination against Asian Americans. Within those, social, political, and institutional discrimination, like like uh, Chinese Exclusion Act and the Japanese internment camp, these factors could have influenced the voting turnout of Asian Americans. To conduct a more in-depth research, I created a 11-question Caltrick survey and posted to social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram to have people participate in the survey. Then I also interviewed friends and families casually to have a more open environment for them to talk. I also called them up later on and asked more questions. My findings in the research: I found 6 in 10 Asian Americans are foreign born, and but 80% of them are registered voters. Within the Asian American communities, 75%, 3/4 of them are Democrats or identify as Democrats. Um, and then as for the participants in my surveys and interviews, only 7 out of 18 total have voted. And this project is significant to me because it helped me explore how many Asian Americans actually vote, and it helps me understand the voting pattern of Asian Americans and why and the reasoning behind it. And then once I understand those, I could draw a hypothetical conclusion that might increase more Asian American voting participation. And then my intention is to ties back to the previous slide. Um, it 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 it's is to solve the voting issue of Asian Americans. Um, this as for the Asian American community, having understanding voting turnout and voting participation could create a better political environment for the community. And the voting rights is a part of the U.S. Constitution. It's a part of our right as a U.S. citizen. So therefore, we should vote. why it matters? It Voting could could let Asian Americans' voices heard, and therefore minimal therefore minimizes political victimization and more political representation. Like I said earlier, voting is a part of what us us U.S. citizens enjoy as a part of our benefits of being a citizen. And here are some questions I want to ask you. So, how would you help increase Asian Americans' voting participation? And what do you think could help? What do you think influences Asian American to not vote? And lastly, have you yourself voted? And to top it off, here's a meme I want to show you. They're also vote related. And here's my citation.